everything I'm telling you about here is in this article right here, and it's called "The Final Experiment is Not So Final," and it's at greatmountainpublishing.com. So all of the videos and the files are right there. Yeah. Now all right. So here is the video out, or the cloud I'm telling you about right there. So right now it's about a mile in the air. That's my estimate. It drops to about 3,000 feet here. So it drops to almost 2,000 feet. Okay. So here it is right here, right above the latrine right there. All right. So as he walks, this cloud has dropped to about here in the sky. Well, what it is the computer program they used for the effects in the sky lopped onto that cloud and kept it in the upper part of the lens for his GoPro. They didn't adjust it because when he got to here, that cloud should nowhere be around here at all, visible. So it's clearly a glitch in their computer program. Now let's see if I can. Let's go to another.
So again, the link to Edward's website is in the description below for all of you to check it out. greatmountainpublishing.com.
Yeah, it's great. It's greatmountainpublishing.com. So here's another article I did, all right, called "Clowns Caught Faking the Final Experiment." And here, and I'm piggybacking on the discovery by Winter Patriot 45. You should go to his YouTube channel, and he did a great job. He discovered this. So what it is there is a seam that was in the sky. So this blue that you see right here, that blue is the sky during the alleged 24-hour video that they set up. Now, as you know, the sky doesn't have a seam, and it's a right angle. It's a seam goes up right up here, it stops there, and it goes off this way. There's a very subtle one you can just see right here, but it's very difficult to see. What happened was, after he revealed that there was that seam in the sky, I went back within a day to pull that video up, and I went right to the spot where he said it was, and it had disappeared. Other people tried to find it, and he actually went back to try to find it, and he said what they did was they went back and they brushed out those lines. So they altered the video after it was revealed. So obviously, this is something they did not, an artifact of their artificial sky, they did not want known. So they quickly went and got rid of it. Well, what I did was I went back about a week later, and I just kept looking. And by the way, I have his video on that in that article, so you can watch his video where he goes through it. So he actually goes through it on his video and shows you the line he found. Well, I went back and I went in the same area and I kept looking through the video, and sure enough, I found the same lines. Now, they weren't identical, but they're blurred. So you see here, it's blurred. Now, it may be efforts that they made to obscure it and they weren't successful, but you can see a line coming up and taking a turn right this way. And then there's an obscure little one here. It almost looks like the corner of a room. Now, I can't say that it's a corner of a room because I have seen video CGIs where the seams going from one CGI to another, one part of it does have that kind of artifact. So it could be a corner of a room, or it could be a seam in a CGI created backdrop. And so again, here's another one that I did in another portion. You have to go through the film time frame. And by the way, you can actually pull up the video. I have the video that I took this from, okay, on my website. And I put down the time frame so you can look at the bottom, and I think that's 54, 51. And then this seam was found at 51:18. So you can see when in the video I found it, and you can find it also, okay? And what I did here was I I turned
Wow.
up the shadow and contrast using Corel Draw, and you can see the straight lines in here. This is not a natural sky. This is an artificial sky, and you can see the angles coming up here and down here, okay?
I just wanted to add that a few people claim that that's where the seam was on the 360 camera, but I found where it is, and you can see right there on the left is where the seam is. It's where the camera is on the right. It's where the line went up was from that camera. So, yeah.
That's incredible, Ed. Really good stuff.
Yeah, now there's another one here. They had a lot of continuity errors. So that is, whenever you have so many cameras, there's always a possibility that things will not match up. And some of this you won't even notice. I had a hunch, and I went on that hunch, and I started comparing videos. And sure enough, I discovered that in a couple of instances, the sun is at different heights in different videos. So here we have the same time, the same location on December 16th, and the sun is at this height. But on December 15th, with Jonathan Mirandi, or Marianda, whatever his name is, he's the producer. In fact, I think he's probably the special effects guy who put this together.
Wow.
He has the sun in the background, and you'll notice that it's a slightly higher, okay, almost unnoticeable if you didn't go and actually measure it out like I did. So what I did was I scaled it so that these mountains would be the scale. So these mountains I matched up so they'd be at the same height, the same exact scale. And so in relation to the mountain, the sun should be the same height, but it's not. Okay, now they would argue, well, that's because on a different day, the sun would be a different height. Here's the problem with that. This sun on December 16th was lower than the sun on December 15th. The, let's see, what is it? The autumnal, the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere is on December 21st. And so the sun actually gets higher in the sky as you go from December 15th to December 16th, not lower. And so this is actually going backwards towards the summer solstice. And so it's obviously a glitch in their video. So this video was from the 360 cam showing the alleged 24-hour sun. And this was the day before when he was at the camp. They're at the same location, one day apart, and this one is the day after was lower, and actually it should have been higher. Not that much higher, but just a little bit higher. Now, here's another one, all right? So here we have the exact same camera, and as you see, I have the same height for the mountains, the same gauge, the mountains are the same height down here. So in this case, Jaron is walking towards this guy you see on the ground here, and I think that might be McToon, I'm not sure. He's walking towards him, and then about 34 seconds later, the sun had dropped to this height.
Wow.
So here he walks towards McToon, and now the sun has dropped. Well, how did it drop in the sky? Well, obviously, the computer program was not able to correlate the sun height as he moved. When he moved, they got it wrong. The computer program got it wrong, okay, and put the sun at the wrong height. So here you have an example of where there's a glitch. Now, no, the real sun doesn't drop like that in 34 seconds, all right? So that's more evidence of computer fakery.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
So here, let's see. Now, this is an article I wrote about Duffy's promise to call Steve. He goes by Hey Dude. And this is why is it a big deal? Because Duffy made it a big deal before he went down there. He thought this was such a great idea. He said, absolutely. And I have the video down here where he promised, the video is right here on the website, where he promises that when he gets down there, he's going to call Steve right around midnight, Ushuaia time, which would be exactly midnight in the Union Glacier Station time. So it's the same time. And that would have been right around, I think, 3:30 or 3 o'clock midnight would be 3 o'clock in England where Steve was. And so what Steve did was he didn't get the call. So at about 3:30, he tuned in and saw that there was a live stream going on, and allegedly a live stream. It was not really a live stream because he was supposed to have called Steve at that time, and he didn't. He did not do it. Now, during the alleged live stream, he mentioned Steve, and he mentioned that he could see the sun behind him, but he didn't actually call him real time, which he had promised to do. That's huge. That's huge because it reveals that the one way that he said would verify that they were actually there and actually seeing the midnight sun would be at a real-time call to Steve. And he never made that call. And I think the call was supposed to be through WhatsApp and never made the call.
Never did.
Yeah.
There was a lot that they never did. A lot of live streams never happened. And as we're 2 months now later, we're still waiting on all this terabytes of footage and data, which is yet to be released.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a lot of anomalies in what they did. So, for example, they had a lot of mistakes made regarding their set direction. So, for example, if you look at, now this is an article I did, set direction mistakes. You can read all the details. But bottom line is, and I'll try to make this larger here. Let's see, so you can see it. So these are all these arrows. This is Mount Rossman here. Okay, this is my depiction of Mount Rossman, which is supposed to be right. This area would be Union Glacier Camp, which is supposed to be where they were, and this is Mount Rossman is supposed to be south of Union Glacier Camp. But the guides were giving directions all over the place. So one guide said it was this way, south was that way, and then later on, he said about 35 seconds later, he points off in this direction and says south is that way. And then Jonathan Marianda, later on, he pulls out a compass, and his compass says south is this way. And then another guide, very close in time to this guide, says that south is this direction. They're all over the place. So apparently this, I guess, what would you call a virtual world that they had created made it difficult for them to have their directions straight. The cues that they were using, they got discombobulated. Because if you assume that the backgrounds were artificial, then naturally they're going to get all mixed up as to where Mount Rossman is and so forth. It was very cleverly done, but they made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and Compass Gate was one of them when Jaren tried to show us south or north on a compass and it was holding it upside down so it could be held in place. That was busted. Yep.
Well, here's another one. Here's another video glitch. This one's not so obvious. You really had to look. You really wouldn't catch it unless you were paying attention, and you have to know what to look for. So this is the sun crosses this camera here, okay? And the computer program very cleverly is able to, well, here, you know what? Before I get to the camera, let me go down here and show you the glitches from Anthony Powell's documentary. So Anthony Powell's documentary film was proven to be a fraud. And he went down to Antarctica. He showed the 24-hour sun, and his video was picked apart and proven to be a fraud. And he was one of the technical advisors on the final experiment. And Duffy said that one of his objectives was to redeem Anthony Powell's name because he'd been so slandered by the allegation that his video was fake. And his video is in a documentary. And the documentary film I have posted on this for this article. So the title of the article is Video Glitches Prove Final Experiment Use CGI. So here you can pull that up. And they're all listed on the right-hand side, the links in order. But if you go down and you look at the video that he did of the sun. So here's frame one, shows the sun about to cross this light post, right?
Yeah.
So it's going across the light post. When it gets behind the light post, you'll notice what happens. And I drew a circle where the sun's supposed to be. It completely disappears. Why? Because the computer program noticed a barrier, but it could not understand that the barrier was thin. So it blocked out the entire sun, left only a little line right there. So the sun disappears. So there's the sun. There's the sun going across, and boom, it disappears. And then it reappears. It reappears on the other side of the pole. All right. And then it's now coming. It almost washes out the bulb. You'll see the bulb right here. You have a clear glass covering over the lamp, and then you have a bulb in the inside, a translucent bulb. So as it approaches the bulb, what does it do? It disappears again. Why?
Wow.
Remember, this glass is clear. It shouldn't block the sun. The reason it blocked the sun is the computer program perceived it as an object, but didn't realize that it was a clear object. And so it blocked out the sun, okay, pretending that the sun had gone behind the object, but it was a clear object. And you'll see here, that's where the sun should be, but there's nothing there. And then the sun, then it goes beyond that, and you'll see the sun reappear on the other side. So that's just an example, not to mention the fact that in that video, the CGI computer program that they use still has that glitch, still is not able to very well distinguish between a thick object and a thin object. So here we have the sun coming across the camera, and you'll see this little, there's a very thin piece of, it's a cross piece there.
I see it.
So as it comes across the camera, you can see right here, it washes out that cross piece as it goes behind it. All right, now it keeps going behind it, and then boom, it's behind the cross piece and completely disappears. Wow, now this cross piece is not thick enough to block out the entire sun. Okay, the sun should still be able to wash it out, just as it's doing up here. Just as it's doing up here, it should wash it out, but it doesn't. See, it completely blocks the sun, that little piece, and then the piece emerges on the other side and illuminates, and then it continues on its way. So these are the kind of video glitches that they have. Now here's another one where they pretended to verify the final experiment dates. So you have Jaron, and he's in the airport, and remember, he's at the airport on December 14th. This article was written on December 12th. He's not verifying the date. He's showing us a score that happened on December 12th. Why didn't he give us current news? Now, granted, that was at 11, little past 11 p.m. on December 12th, but nonetheless, he could have given us current news on December 14th, but he didn't. Why? And I'll tell you why. He left San Jose Airport on December 10th. He left from Punta Arenas Airport to go to Antarctica on December 14th. There's 4 days in there that are really unaccounted for. Now, they did have some video goings on, allegedly, in Punta Arenas on December, as I recall, December 13th. But really, we have 4 days unaccounted for. Why would he have to leave on December 10th for a flight that's supposed to be departing on December 14th? That has not been explained. Here we have Dave McKeegan. He shows an article, okay, and he's trying to prove that he is in Antarctica on December 15th. The article he pulls up is from December 13th. Now, why is he pulling up an article from December 13th to prove he's in Antarctica on December 15th? That makes no sense. And he really begrudgingly showed that article. And by the way, it's not a news event. It was a posted article from NASA, of all things, okay? It wasn't a news event that you could verify. So who knows what was going on there? Why would they do that when they could have shown a current news event, but he pulled up an article from December 13th, 2 days earlier? Makes no sense.
So they couldn't confirm the dates that they were there in Antarctica. So they're just taking people for a ride. No stamps in the passports. They look different ages and different versions of the clip, like years apart in ages. So lots of splicing together, lots of deception going on, lots of computer programs being used. I can't believe what you've shown us today.
Yeah. Well, now we haven't heard a lot from Elizabeth Acosta. She was on the interview program with Whitsitt and Jaron, and let's see, who else was it? Oh goodness, Jaron, Whitsitt, and Sean Griffin, and she made a statement. And in her statement, she said about the whole internet thing, I was like, yeah, that was the only, and he's referring to Duffy's initial live stream. He goes, that was the only the first and only live stream that we did down there. She actually made that statement. And she realized that she had goofed by making that statement. And you can watch the interview, but she played it off pretty well, but she actually made that statement. It was never explained. Jaron and Whitsitt looked frozen, stunned. And interesting interaction there. But they didn't, you would think they would correct her, say something about it, but the fact that they never corrected her, never said anything about it, because she corrected herself and said, she corrected it to say, well, it was the first live stream. Okay. She then corrected and said the first live stream. But yeah, some very strange goings on down there. But all you got to do is look for the evidence, and you will find it. These people are very powerful. They are very rich.